Hey, Diego, since you're here, we'll go first. If you want to unmute yourself and just give us your general impressions of your first week down there in Florida with Mauricio Pochettino and his staff.
What's going on, everybody? Um, yeah, it's been good. I think, coming back in from an off season, you expect, tired leg, you expect the work rate and the workload to be higher and building up to games that, that are coming up. So it's been good. A lot of work has been done, double sessions, the intensity has been there. And yeah, it's been totally good. I love the intensity. I love the when we're on the field, it's here to work, and it's been nothing but good stuff.
Awesome. Aaron Falk, you want to lead us off with Diego?
Yeah, I mean, you've been in this January camp before. Just wondering how it's different under Poch than maybe a year ago.
Yeah, I think when you have a different staff coming in, they're different. There's two different minds, right? So I think this year, this camp has been a lot of. We've had some double sessions, double days. It's been I don't know if the word is more intense, but it's like the being on the field is time to work, and when we're in the uniform and we're in the kits, it's time to put your head down and go to work, pay attention, lock in, and then on the other side, when we're off and we're lounging around and in the off time, it's a lot more relaxed and a lot more um say more social, more stuff like that. So I think it's definitely different, but both January camps have been awesome, and yeah.
Sean Walker, go ahead, and then we'll go to Jaime Uribarri.
Hey, hey, Diego, thanks again for joining us and congrats on the call up once again. Kind of building off of that a little bit as one of the one of the old men in the camp by now with your second overall appearance, right? How nice
Yeah.
was it to be able to see a friendly face, another friendly face, I guess, a guy that you know pretty well, and getting
Yeah.
called in with Emeka? Did it give you kind of a little bit of comfort to be like, oh, or maybe are you kind of pulling him under your wing like as he's a first timer too?
Yeah, I think it's been, yeah, I think of it in a way so, but I think for me personally, seeing Emeka in here is something, I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him. He deserves this and he earned it. The amount of work he's put in the past years with RSL has been, unbelievable. And for me, I think it's just kind of seeing it's kind of weird being this young and having him older than me, but I'm kind of proud of him. And yeah, just happy for him to be able to get the recognition that he deserves. And yeah, he's been doing awesome here. And yeah, he's one of my close friends, and we've been able to hang out. And yeah, it is cool to have somebody that we're doing this together, and we'll be able to go back to the club and speak about things and continue to work for more opportunities.
Well, you touched on it right there, but I did kind of want to follow up with how that kind of connection, maybe spending a little bit of extra time in the midfield with Potch's camp. Do you feel like that can kind of benefit you guys as you move into 2025 with RSL?
Definitely, I think me and Emeka have had a really good connection, and I think I love talking to him, and he's the type of player that does the dirty work, right? And he does it well, and being able to have him behind me or underneath me in on the field is awesome to have somebody like that, and that you could say that does the hard work for you and is able to give me the ball and produce together. So I think that being able to play and get the first couple weeks in here together is going to help us when we get back to RSL.
Go ahead, Jaime.
Hey, Diego. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Great. Well, first of all, congrats on the call up. And to that point, since January, the January camp doesn't fall in the traditional FIFA window. Could you explain or give your thoughts on the importance and the value of this camp for MLS guys like yourself?
yeah. I think it's a time for us to showcase ourselves and Pochettino said that, it doesn't matter whether we play in MLS or Europe. If you're playing well and you're doing what you need to do on the field, then that's what they're looking for. So being able to get an opportunity here and be able to showcase ourselves in this type of window is awesome. And yeah, just hopefully looking forward to doing well and getting more call ups.
Awesome, thank you.
David James, you can go ahead, and then we'll bring Emeka in as well.
Diego, when you were new to RSL, Pablo Mastroeni said he talked to you and he was surprised that as a teenager, you were asking him questions like, "Hey, we defended this way with my USL club, but we defended this way with when I'm in with the US. How do you want to do it?" Since you're dialed into that kind of stuff, how are they asking you to play similarly to RSL? How are they asking you to play differently?
Yeah, I think that's a kind of hard question to answer, as we're only 4 days into camp or something like that, and we haven't really gotten into the tactics yet of it. We've kind of just been a lot of fitness, getting the body right, and everything like that. Um, but I think it's going to be similar a little bit to how we play at RSL with the attacking aspect, and having me come in and play in the interior, but also wide. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be, good for me, knowing that I've been able to play that role before with RSL. But also on the defensive side, we'll see as camp goes on and more tactics are thrown at us, how it's going to, feel for me and how is it going to look for me in this type of thing.
You were you were not invited in with the Olympic team. And I was wondering if there are hard feelings with US soccer that you had to get over before you did this, or, hey, this is a new team, this is a new manager, a clean slate, and that didn't cross your mind until some idiot media member brought it up with you.
No, I think my mind's past that already. I have no hard feelings. You could say I have a little bit of grit and a little bit of like something to work for. That they made their decisions and that's fine. You can't go back on that. But I'm gonna just continue to work and see where the next chances for me and next big moments for me to take on and to where the crests are. So I haven't really thought about that, and yeah, it's just it is what it is. It happened, and we put it in the past, and we learned from it. We move forward, and yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
Caleb, you want to go, and then we'll go to Christian with Des News.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats, Diego, on making it out there again with the national team. I did want to ask you about a couple things that have been going on here while you've been away. Some changes in personnel roster, some guys leaving the team. How does that affect maybe how you're looking forward to this MLS season? Maybe taking on a bigger role with RSL.
Yeah, I think things are happening. It's preseason, it's off season. There's gonna be changes, all around the league. So for me, it's kind of like like I said, you take it and then you you just kind of move on. There's nothing you can really do about it. But other than that, I'm focusing on myself, making sure that I'm gonna be in the best, you know, position to take on this season, and making sure that I'm mentally ready and whatever that RSL asks of me, that I'm able to do to the best of my ability. And yeah, these are moments that I worked for as a kid that are pretty cool, right? To say that taking on a bigger role, a lot of eyes, a lot of pressure. That's the type of stuff that we work for and that we play for, right? So that's kind of exciting for me, and we'll see when I get back to RSL what they're gonna want from me and how's this gonna work out. But I'm sure that RSL has everything under control and has a plan for this year, and I really have no worries about who's on the team and who's not. I think each year there's gonna be changes, and yeah, it's all up to the staff, to the front office that knows what they're doing, and it's us to follow that and follow it to the best of our ability.
Awesome. And then when it comes to these couple of games with the national team coming up, I guess what's your mentality as you look to maybe get some minutes on the field, possibly even start in a couple of these games against international opponents?
Yeah, it's exciting, right? It's stuff that we dream about. It's big moments like this that are pretty cool, and um yeah, I'm just looking forward to it's gonna be a tough. We're in Florida, humidity, and it's our first game in 3.5 months, so It's going to be tough on us physically, and that's part of it, right? Growing and learning where you're at and stuff like that. So it's going to be exciting to be able to wear the crest in big games like this against international competition. But yeah, it's just exciting, and whatever, whatever God, whatever the staff gives me, playing time and stuff like that, I'm gonna take that take advantage of it to the best that I can, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego.
Of course.
Hey, Emeka, before we get started with questions for you, do you want to just give us an idea what the last 4 or 5 days have been like, and maybe the emotions that went through your head and your heart when you got the call?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, got the call pretty early. I think maybe 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I think Jason was actually the first one to call me to say that I'd made the provisional squad, but that's obviously not the final roster for the camp. So I think maybe a couple of days before Christmas is when I was actually officially named to the squad. And, it's kind of like the best Christmas gift you could ask for. Representing your country is something that I've always dreamed of as a little kid, watching the World Cup, watching qualifiers, Gold Cup, things like that. It's just such a unique opportunity that not a lot of players get to have. So I was just super excited to have that opportunity. And then getting into camp, it's definitely been hard sessions. A great group of guys here, great coaches, very hard sessions, intense sessions. Some double days. We have a double day today. Just trained in the morning at around 11, and then we have another gym session at 5. So it is preseason as well. So it's definitely getting our bodies, our minds ready for the long season that we have ahead with RSL, but then also for this week of upcoming games that we have with the national team. So just super excited to see what comes about it.
Sean Walker, go ahead.
Yeah, Mecca, congrats on your first call into camp there. But I asked this question of Diego. I don't know if you joined or not by then, but I feel like it's only fitting that I ask you kind of the same thing, kind of put you on the spot a little bit. Did it help a little bit when you got called into camp, being able to see a guy that you've grinded with on the club scene day in and day out in Diego? And how have you two kind of, I guess, sort of connected in a different setting, I guess, in with the national team?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously being with Diego the last 2 years, just to have a familiar face here, you're going into a new environment, all new coaches, all new players, and you kind of don't know like where you're going to fit in when you first get here. So, having Diego to come along, after knowing him for the first 2 years at RSL, it's just been welcoming. I couldn't ask for a better player to come along to the camp as well. Great player on the field, but also even better person off the field. So it's been nice.
We'll go Carson and then Caleb.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Emeka, as a third year player with RSO, how do you see your role evolving within both the club and the national team setup?
I guess I'll go national team first. Within the national team, just trying to make the most of my opportunity that I have here because, like I said before, not everybody gets this opportunity. So no matter if I, start the game coming off the bench, don't even play, like I just want to make the most of the opportunity, soak in as much information that I can take from, the players here, from the coaching staff here, and just use all that information and really soak it up and bring it back to RSL, and then at RSL, we've obviously lost some great players, and Chicho, Crooks, but they were also some good leaders on the field and off the field. So I think in my third year, trying to grow a little bit to become more of a leader in the locker room, on the field, cafeteria, gym, just being a better leader in many different ways, hopefully. And I think if I can do that, it'll help me grow as a player, but then also will help the players around me grow as players as well. So I think that's one of my main goals this year is to try and grow as a leader.
Awesome. Thank you, Emeka.
Hey, Mecca, congrats on the call up. I know we always ask you about positions because you've played so many, but you were listed coming in as a midfielder for the national team. Obviously, you've played right back and defender as well with RSL. Where have you been at in this camp, and how do you feel like maybe you've been able to get comfortable in whatever role they've assigned to you?
Yeah, we haven't really done many sessions with tactics, but I've been playing pivot like as a six basically, and I guess today was kind of our first little session where we kind of did some build out. And as Diego was saying earlier, it is really at the attacking at least. It's really similar to how we kind of build out at RSL with three center backs usually, two pivots, two tens, and then two players out wide in a nine. So I've been playing as a pivot since I've got here. I haven't played right back at all, so I think that's where they're mainly going to use me. But we'll see. And it's been nice because I played pivot almost all of last year basically. So I'm really comfortable in that role, and for us to also be playing a similar tactical approach when we build out to RSL, it's even more familiarity about how we play. So it's been good. I just want to take some new things that I can learn from this coaching staff. Similar way of playing, but just little tweaks that I can learn and improve in my game, and then bring it with me to these two games that we have here, and then throughout the season with RSL.
Awesome, thanks.
Let's go to Jaime, then Jose, and Christian.
Hey there, Emeka. I got a question. I'm basically gonna repeat the same question that I asked Diego a few minutes ago. I know you've touched on it briefly, but if you can expand a little bit more on the value of this January camp for MLS guys such as yourself, like what it means to you.
Yeah, I think just getting a chance in the national team setup, and yeah, the first meeting that we had with Poch, which the coach, he, we were all in the meeting room, and he said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're playing. We take the players that are in the best form, and those are the players that are going to make the final roster. I remember he said that, obviously we all saw that Brandon Vasquez, he went from Monterrey to Austin, and he said that he called Poch and asked him, is this move gonna affect my ability to get called up to the national team? And he said, no, why would it? I mean, if you're playing well in the MLS, scoring goals, doing what you do in the MLS, you can get called up to any camp you want to. So I think just him going out of the gate by saying that, it just makes us all believe that we have a really good chance at hopefully getting called into future national team camps, and then just to continue to put our head down, grind even harder, and just make the most of the opportunity that we have here right now.
Right on. Thank you.
Jose?
Hey, Emeka, how are you? Well,
Good.
first, congratulations on the call up. Could you walk us around? I'm sorry. Can you tell us about that first time your reaction, your first thoughts when you got the call up, and then how have you been feeling overall this week leading up to a possible debut with the U.S. men's national team? And just tell me about your feelings this week when you got the call, and then how would you feel like when you step into the field, hopefully?
Yeah, when I got the call, it was a surreal moment because, like I said, something you dream of since you first start playing soccer, and you turn on the TV and you see the national team playing, you see other national teams playing, you're like, wow, that's such a unique opportunity to represent your country. So when I first got the call, I was just like elated, super excited, almost at a loss for words. I told my family first, and they were super excited for me. So it was just nice it was nice also being home when I got the call, so I got to experience it with my family at the moment when I told them, and that was just a really nice moment that I don't think I'll ever forget. And then heading into camp, a little bit of nerves, but just super excited as well to meet all the great players, the coaches, and just learn and grow as a player here. So just super exciting. And then making my debut, hopefully I can make it either on Saturday or the next Wednesday when we play Costa Rica. I think again that would just be another surreal moment, like when I first got the call. Getting the opportunity is unique. It's super cool, but I think actually seizing the opportunity and being able to then step on the field and make your debut and hopefully perform well, I think it's something it's an even bigger deal. So something that I'm looking forward to tremendously.
Thank you. And being in Miami, especially with a huge Venezuelan population there, playing Venezuela, what are the team's thought about being in this maybe hostile environment, especially considering the next year the whole world is going to be in North America, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. How do you feel about playing against these global audiences where sometimes the home team might not be the team with the largest crowd? How do you think the team is approaching that situation on Saturday?
Yeah. We haven't really talked much tactics or even mental tactics about the game yet. I think I'm probably going to try and get through that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and stuff before the game. But I will say, with how the trainings are and with how Poch is, I think he's super, super intense and is super focused on, pressing at all times and just having that super, super high intensity. So I think that just translates a little bit. No matter where you're playing at, no matter the hostility that's in the stadium or on the field, like if you know that the guy behind you is going to press as hard as you're going to press and is going to work as hard as you're going to work and just keep that intensity up, then I think it kind of just sets the playing field for everyone that's on the field at the moment. We all know how we want to play with that mentality, and I think if he made that really clear from the first session we had. I mean, we were flying all over the place, running, tackling, sprinting back, sprinting forth. It's just, you can tell the mentality that he wants to instill in the team. And I think when you have that, then, the crowd, hostility, that doesn't play as big as a role if, you have everybody on the team fighting with that same intensity. So even though we haven't dug into a lot about Venezuela or the national team yet, I think with the way that we've been training, it's kind of prepared us in a good way to approach the match on Saturday.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Christian.
Hi, Emeka. Krishan Edler with the Deseret News. With this being a new year, what are some goals you've set for yourself, both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, I think I said it a little bit earlier, but one of my most important goals is just to try and become a better leader, on and off the field, whether that's encouraging guys or if I have to, getting on guys to be more disciplined or to do this or to do that. And then again, I said it last year when somebody asked me a similar question, they asked me what my goals were. And I think one of my main goals, again, is just to try and play as many games, as many minutes as I can. So I think if I can do that and stay healthy, then, I think that I consider that a good season for me. So play as many games as possible, as many minutes as possible, and just be, that first name penciled in on the starting 11. So I can really impose my will on the game. And then also I think I want to try and work on, getting in the attack a little bit more. I scored that goal in the last game against Minnesota from right back, but I feel like last year I was a little bit passive in some areas when we were building out. But I think now, it being my third year, getting a little bit more comfortable, driving forward with the ball, taking longer shots, things like that, just becoming a little bit more aggressive in all aspects of my game.
Thanks, and congrats on the call-up.
Thank you.
Before we go to David James, Diego, I had a question for you, and I understand if you haven't spent a ton of time thinking about it, but RSL is back in CONCACAF in 35 days, and that's not a lot of time, but just what is playing a meaningful international competition for RSL mean to you?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, right? It's something new for me, and to go into this year with a new group of guys and stuff, it's gonna be interesting, and we'll see how this turns out. But like every other game, we're gonna go out there and get the game plan, do what we need to do, work for each other, and we'll see. It's gonna be a fun environment to play in. It's gonna be new for a lot of guys, and it's exciting.
Awesome, thank you. David James, go ahead.
Emeka, you mentioned the intensity with you've got to press, you've got to press, you got to press. Pablo Mastroeni has talked a lot about that, but hearing it from another coach in another setting, does it hit you a different way? And can you bring something back to the club in terms of, yeah, we've been good at pressing, but there's another level to get to?
Yeah, I think Pablo's, coming to RSL first, and Pablo was kind of had the same type of intensity and how we wanted to press, to really get after the ball. But here it's similar, but it's almost another step where they kind of say like, no matter what, you're going to press. And I think one important thing that they said here is that you shouldn't even really look behind you when you're pressing, because you should know that your teammates are just always going to be there pressing the next guy. So like the trust in your team, trust that you have in your teammates, that if you're pressing the ball, that they're going to be pressing, the player that's behind you. You shouldn't even worry about that. So I think that kind of pressing is obviously an individual thing, but it's a team collective too. So I think if you can get both of those things down, then the way you press can be tremendous. So I think just bring that back to RSL. I feel like we press really, really well, but sometimes at times, in a game, and when you're pressing in a game, if one or two players don't press at the right time, or don't feel like running, or don't feel like sprinting at that time, it kills the whole press. The team will get out. So I think just echoing that when one player goes to press, that the whole other 10 players on the field, 9 players, have to press with them. And I think if we can do that as a collective group at RSL, with the way that we already press, just those little adjustments, little tweaks, I think it could make us an even more dangerous team, when we recover the ball high up the field and then attack.
All right, go ahead, Jose. Last question.
All right, thank you. A question for you, Diego. Obviously you're still very young, but this would be your second time being called up to the U.S. men's national team. How do you work that like growing aspect? Where do you go for, let's say, advice at the club level, now at the national level? How do you just kind of work on that leadership and that growth that you've been having, obviously after a very good year with the Real Salt Lake? How do you approach that growth, that rapid growth that maybe has been just thrown into you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just continuing to do what I do, continuing to work, continuing to get better every day. I think for me, there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's what I'm striving for. I wouldn't say I'm as much of a leader with my voice, but much more of a leader with my work rate and with what I do on the ball, and always trying to help the team produce and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the way I show leadership in a sense. But yeah, I think for me it's and being always when I have questions, I won't be afraid to ask and stuff like that. And when I'm not really sure on the game plan or things that are not really sticking with me, then yeah, of course I'm not going to be afraid to ask for help, and which with whatever staff that I'm with, RSL, the USA, doesn't matter. I'm gonna always ask for help if I really need it, and if I'm confused. But on the leadership part, I think a lot of it's coming from my play on the field rather than my voice. But yeah.
Diego, Emeka, really appreciate your guys' time today. Everybody here in Utah is looking forward to seeing you guys play Saturday and Wednesday. Holler if you need anything, and good luck. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Trey.
it. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a
guys.
good rest of your
Bye.